Hi, I'm Marshall Zelinger from 9 News. How long do you think I should wait until they stop clapping? Oh, you don't think they're clapping at all? Awkward. I am here to introduce to you the Harry W. Hoth Public Service Award recipient. Actually, I don't like here. How about here? Yeah, that's better. It was here in Kyle Clark's basement studio that started a pandemic-inspired movement that just celebrated its 150th straight week. The idea of a weekly micro-giving campaign was Kyle's, but he gives all the credit to everyone who has contributed to the more than $10 million raised since June 2020, a project he calls Word of Thanks.
We're starting a new project here on Next Tonight, something that I hope that we can work on together each week. A chance to turn the power and size of this audience, all of you at home, into real support for nonprofits that are making a big difference in Colorado these days.
Word of Thanks was one of those in the moment, it's just so crazy it might work ideas. So basically, Kyle's idea was that people were stuck at home because of the pandemic and they were feeling powerless. They had nothing they felt like they could do to affect any change. They were just stuck by their circumstances. So Kyle's idea was to focus on small nonprofits.
Civic Center had just experienced a lot of destruction during the George Floyd movement. It was about 9:30 in the morning. I get a call from Kyle Clark, and he's super excited and talking about this new initiative that they're going to launch, Word of Thanks, and they'd like to feature Civic Center.
Eric Lazari is the executive director of Civic Center Conservancy, the first nonprofit featured on Word of Thanks.
Most fundraising initiatives take months in advance to plan, to get the campaign right, to get the wording right, to make sure the ask is correct out there and things like that. I asked Kyle, when is this going to start? And he's like, well, we're going to launch it on tonight's newscast.
Civic Center needs tens of thousands of dollars worth of professional cleanup. But there are enough people watching this program right now that if just 1 in 5 of us gave $5, we would easily cover the cost of cleaning up Civic Center Park. And since it's really annoying when somebody on TV just asks you to give money, how about this? If you're in for $5 and you're in for $5 and you're in for $5, I will match the first 50 of you.
We raised just over $90,000.
And with that, Word of Thanks became a weekly endeavor, from vets to pets and all corners of the state, like the high school football team in the town of Branson.
They say, oh, this field is crap. How do you guys play on this?
Word of Thanks brought in $82,000 to help replace the team's football pasture with actual turf to get opposing schools to play there again.
1, 2, 3, win! I'm Michelle Spidell. I'm Sharon Ritzman's daughter. She passed away a couple years ago, and we chose Kyle's Word of Thanks program to donate to in honor of her.
Michelle's mom, Sharon, was an avid Next viewer, and when she passed away, her obituary encouraged donations to Word of Thanks.
And I was like, what did Mom love? And she freaking loved watching Kyle Clark.
And she would have freaking loved what he did next.
He got wind of that obituary and reached out to me and said, hey, I'd really like you to pick a nonprofit.
That's why Kyle profiled Epic Experience, a camp for adult cancer survivors.
And I think they made over like $46,000, which for small Colorado nonprofits is amazing.
Kyle does the due diligence on these. He doesn't have a staff. Kyle does this himself.
The one reoccurring Word of Thanks campaign has helped Friends of Denver Housing Authority provide gifts for children during the holidays.
We participated with Kyle Clark for the last 3 years, and we've raised over $300,000 to be able to distribute between 4,000 and 5,000 gift cards, $25 a piece, to all of our youth and families living in public housing and in our Housing Choice Voucher program.
And not even 3 years into this experiment, Kyle hit a major milestone.
2 years back, we, you, me, started working on something here with no idea how long it would last. Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns began during the strictest weeks of the pandemic lockdown in 2020. You were asking for ways to help our neighbors without leaving home, ways to lift people up, to change lives for the better, close to home and clear across the state. I, for one, never imagined that what we began in 2020, people chipping in $5 for a different nonprofit cause each week, would still be going here as we're about to enter 2023. Never imagined that your generosity for our neighbors would pass the $10 million mark as it did this week. You created this force for good out of nowhere. You just made a thing that improves lives every week with the scan of a QR code on a local TV news show.
If I had a word, it would be thanks.
If I had a word, it would be thanks.
If I had a word, it would be thanks.
If I had a word, it would be thanks.
If I had a word, it would be thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, just like you did for me, let's hear it for the Harry W. Hoth Public Service Award recipient from Next with Kyle Clark and 9 News, Kyle Clark.